The Japanese, their hearts are open. It's just they need someone to preach. They need someone to go and touch them.
Welcome to the Melanated Files. In this series, we highlight and share the stories of black people from across the globe. Remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos and also follow us on social media for regular updates. Let's get into the interview. Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo, and today we're joined by Pastor Marcel Jonte. Right, he's a pastor right here in Tokyo, Japan. You heard that right. He's a pastor right here in Japan, a black pastor in Japan. So this is a very unique story. We're going to get into his story right now. So, Pastor Marcel,
Yes.
all right? You've been here for what, 19 years?
Actually, 20 now.
20 years now?
20 years.
What, was that a few days ago?
Yeah, well, actually, this year, July will be 20 years. Yeah.
20 years?
Yeah, 20 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
2 decades right here in Tokyo, Japan, guys. Right in Japan. 20 years. And I know you guys are saying he looks really young, right? I thought he was younger than he is. We won't tell you his age, but he's a lot older than he looks, right? So I want you to take me back. When did you come to Japan? Tell me the circumstances around that move.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here, and just it's a really good opportunity. And I'm really owing, I'm really rooting for you and everything you're doing.
Thanks a lot, I appreciate it.
So I got to Japan in July of 1999.
Wow.
So that was a long, long time ago when I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I came to Japan is through my father's military career.
Okay.
So he was in the military, he was in the army. Mm-hmm. And so I remember, when we was in the States, before we came to Japan, my dad, gathered the whole family together. He said, hey, we're getting ready to go somewhere. We're moving. It starts with a J. So we're thinking like, Jamaica? Are we going to Jamaica? So we kept on guessing, and then he said Japan. Yeah. And we was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, I had no grid. I had no image about what Japan would be. Mm-hmm. I thought, coming here, there'll be like samurais everywhere, with swords, and we live in a hut, and I was scared to come to Japan because I thought we would be the only black people in Japan. Yeah. I really did,
Wow. Did you know anything about Japan before that? You only knew about samurais and maybe from anime or little shows or something?
Yeah,
was it?
All I knew was ramen noodles
and samurai.
And samurais and swords. And
wow.
So I think my image of Japan was mixed with China, like everything Asian, so I had no understanding, totally, zero.
So was it only you that came with your parents? Did you have siblings as well?
Yes, I have 2 brothers. Yeah.
Okay, they came as well?
Yep, older brother and younger brother. I'm in the middle.
Okay, so you finally made it to Japan, all right? So 1999.
99.
And what was it like? What was your first impressions? When you came here, no huts.
Right?
I think, right? No samurais.
Yeah.
What was your impression when you first came?
My impression, I was young, 13, so I thought it was boring, really.
Okay.
Because we were on the military base, for one. Mm-hmm. And so it was hot, July of 99. I mean, it was hot, it was rainy, floody, and I was just like, what is this place, So, my image of Japan was, I really didn't understand totally at that point because I was on base, like I said. But we did. There are some Japanese that that work on base and things like that. But I don't remember anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my image of Japan at the time was like, what is this place?
So you were on base, right? You lived on base. You went to school on base as well.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me how you made the transition to become a pastor in Japan. Like, what motivated you to make that decision?
Okay. All right. So what motivated me to make the decision to become a pastor? I actually. My family always knew that one day I would be a pastor. I remember, when I was young, I always mimic, pastors and people in church. I'll be shouting at home or laying hands on my brothers and praying for them.
Unruly.
Yeah. So I would always find myself, helping people. So that was always like something from my inside, all the time.
Like a calling.
Yeah, like a calling. Yeah. So my family always knew that, okay, one day Marcel is going to be a pastor. But it really hit me when I came to Japan. Okay. So when I was around 17-ish years old. So just a little background. So when we got to Japan, my family being a music family, my mom started a gospel choir here in Japan called Gospel Connection. Okay. So we would go to Shinjuku every week because that's where our class was. Okay. So so she would just teach, the gospel music, teach them songs and,
To the Japanese?
To the Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like my intro into Japan. So I actually, interacted with the Japanese, started learning Japanese.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember this particular day when we were on our way to the rehearsal in Shinjuku City. I remember seeing all these people passing, the street, crossing the street, like, wow, so many people, right? And then so just passion just arose in me, and I'm like 16, 17.
Oh, wow.
It's like the passion was like, if what I believe is true about God, then what's the hope for these people, So that was the thought. That was like the voice that I heard. And then from that time, I got serious in trying to learn Japanese, because I just wanted to preach,
Wow.
I wanted to preach the gospel in Japanese, right?
Yeah.
So I can just share God's love and, to share my passion with them, So I think it was from that moment, that's when the ball started rolling to eventually me becoming a pastor.
Okay. So you were like 16, 17, right?
Yeah.
It was like a sort of maybe an epiphany you had then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I believe that you told me that you started to preach on the street.
Yeah.
In Shibuya of all places. So
Right.
some of you guys may know Shibuya has like a lot of people. It's almost always busy.
Right.
Right. So right at that statue of the dog, Hachiko.
Yeah, Hachiko,
right.
yeah.
You said you stationed yourself there.
Yes.
Right. And you started to preach. So tell us about that experience, right? Was it in English or Japanese? Tell us about that.
Okay, so at that moment, like I was sharing, I got really serious about learning Japanese. I started a YouTube channel in Japanese. I started to memorize scriptures, Japanese scriptures. So I would have like my Japanese Bible and my English Bible parallel and just kind of memorize what I could.
Okay.
And I would use, those scriptures wherever I go. If I go to 7-Eleven or if I go to the store or whatever, I tell the person at the counter, say, hey, God loves you, Jesus loves you, in Japanese.
Okay.
So then I mustered up the courage to, to preach outside. I really wanted to I want to go to where a lot of Japanese people are.
Okay.
And just preach the gospel, right?
I'm
I'm
thinking about Japan. They're not used to
that
type
of
thing, right?
Right.
So how was that?
It was interesting. I had a friend come along with me. It's on YouTube actually. It's a video.
Okay.
And so I did it in
Show you guys a
Shibuya.
little clip. We're gonna show you guys a little clip.
Look, that the Japanese, their hearts are open. It's just they need someone to preach. They need someone to go and touch them.
神は実にその一人子をお与えになったほどにこの世を愛されました。それは御子を信じる者が一人として滅びることなく永遠の命を持つためである。渋谷ありがとうございました。
But I did it in Shibuya and also Tachikawa.
Okay.
So I remember, I would just memorize this whole kind of message. Why are you living? What's the reason for you living? Is it for money? Is it for your job? What's the reason? Life is more than this. And then I would end off by saying, John 3:16 in Japanese. So the whole message was in Japanese.
How do you say that in Japanese?
John 3:16?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I got it. 神は実にその一人子を与えなったほどに世を愛された。御子を信じる者が滅びるではなく永遠の命を持つためである。
And what's that in English?
In English is for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you fumble when you were saying it in Japanese? Were you like, how do you say it again? Or you felt it was smooth when you were there?
It was, when I was there, it just came, it was
just
smooth.
came out.
Yeah, it was smooth. I was in the moment.
Right? So were the Japanese paying attention to you at that time when you were there? Did you have a little group congregate around you? What was that like?
That's what I wanted. I imagined the group would be around.
What was the reality?
The reality was everybody, people smoking over here, people talking over here, just ignoring
who's
me.
this guy,
Yeah,
right?
who's this guy,
Yeah.
But when I watched the tape, I saw there was people on the side just kind of looking up, listening.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, I began to learn about Japanese people and how, they're not expressive, like we are, you know what I mean? But some people were listening and others were like, who is this guy?
Yeah. I can imagine like in Shibuya, they got street performers, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes playing drums or rapping and stuff.
Right.
I can just imagine it's like a sight.
Yeah.
It's a black man in Japan, in Shibuya, preaching in Japanese. I'm just like that. I think it would stop anyone in their tracks, especially foreigners. Were there foreigners looking looking on?
Yeah.
Because I think every foreigner would be like, wait, what?
Right.
Right.
And from you just reminded me. After I was preaching,
Yeah.
a couple of foreigners came up to me.
Yeah.
We started talking. And
Wow.
yeah. It was an interesting time.
What year was this,
Oh
approximately?
man. Wow.
Over a decade ago? Like,
Yeah,
or-
I think so. Yeah, maybe a good 9-10 years ago. I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I guess this thing came in my mind that you told me the last time that I wanted to segue in it just briefly.
Okay,
And we're
sure.
gonna come back to church. You worked in 7-Eleven.
Yes.
Right. So you guys may know 7-Eleven in Japan, where you get all you can think about. They have everything there, right? And usually there are some foreigners, not a lot. But Marcel worked at 7-Eleven at one point. Tell us about the process, the experience. I want to hear all of it.
All of it?
Because I've never seen
Detail.
a black man working in a 7-Eleven in Japan.
Neither have
to
I.
date.
Neither have I.
You're the one and only, right?
I think so. In my area, like,
Yeah.
I just had this, like I said, I always had this passion. I wanted to enter into, Japan. I wanted to know about Japan.
Yeah.
The language, the culture, the mindset, the people.
Yeah.
Because if I can know about them, I'm able to understand them. And if I can understand them, I'm able to, convey God's love to them.
Okay.
So that was my idea. So
Okay.
I was looking for a job at the time, and I wanted to work at 7-Eleven. I said,
Was it
"Let
a
me
training
try this
ground?
out."
Like a training
It was
ground?
training ground. Oh man, I learned so much. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So how you do it is you search online. 7-Eleven jobs. And then it comes up and it shows you the different places that are available that they're looking for. So you have to know a little bit of Japanese.
Okay. So this is all in Japanese.
It's all in Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you call this number, and you call the number, and then the operator picks up, and she asks you a bunch of questions. Which area you're trying to work at, and you have to tell her. And then she gives you like a little interview, sort of. What's your name, birthday, da 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 da. And then then she connects you with the store manager.
Okay.
And then you call the store manager, and then y'all talk. Then if he likes you, set up an interview. And so I was fortunate enough to have a good interview.
Yeah.
And I made it.
Okay.
And I was the first black person to work at 7-Eleven. I don't know about Japan, but in that area,
Yeah.
so it turned a lot of heads when they saw me behind the counter.
So tell me, like,
It was.
did they ask you if you were Japanese? Was that a question on maybe the questionnaire or during the interview? No?
No.
You never met her whatsoever?
No,
They-
they knew
wow.
I was American. I mean, I showed my passport.
Yeah.
I'm American.
Yeah.
I think it's most important is that you understand Japanese
Ah.
and know how to read it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe the culture a little bit?
A little bit,
okay.
yeah, but not too much. But mostly reading and speaking. If you can do that,
You're good.
You're good.
All right. So tell me about the experience. So now you're behind the counter.
Yeah.
Right? Someone comes in. What's the word that irashaimase?
Irashaimase.
And then like you start. Like, tell me about that. What was the experience like interacting with the foreigners and the Japanese? Like, take us into that world.
Okay, wow. The first day, I don't know if I was nervous. I was a little excited.
Okay.
And I was like, to see the reactions of people's face when they saw me.
Yeah.
With the uniform, and it's like they come in, then they get something, and they look again.
Yeah, double
It
take.
is like double, like, oh, he works here, you work here, type thing. And then when foreigners come in,
Yeah.
that was a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Automatically. Like,
Yeah.
man, you work here? Like, wow, man, how did you da 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 da? You speak Japanese? Da 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 da.
Yeah.
So just to see the reaction on both sides it was really fun.
What was the reaction from the Japanese people when they came in? Like, did they try to like strike up a conversation?
Some, yes.
Okay.
Yes, many actually.
What were the questions that they would ask usually?
They said, "Nihonjin desu ka?" Are you Japanese? Half-jin desu ka? Are you half?
I see.
They asked me, right?
Okay,
So I was
okay.
like, "Oh no, American. I'm American."
Yeah.
And then that starts to talk, and
Yeah.
and from that 7-Eleven job, during that season, that's when I was beginning to be, starting to open my church.
Okay.
So
So when was this approximately?
this was 2016.
Okay.
Like 2016.
So your church has been open for like about what, 2 years?
About 2 years now, yeah.
Okay.
2 years now. So we started in our living room.
Okay.
And when I used to live in Fusa. And so during that time, I was working at 7-Eleven. And so a lot of people that was in the first stages of my church in my living room, I met at 7-Eleven.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Right.
so they came to my house.
Nice. Wow. So Japanese people.
Japanese people, yes.
Okay, so now you are in a building.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us about the transition. So you came here. What's the church like? The congregation, like, is it mostly Japanese or foreigners? And what facilities do you have here as well?
Okay, so right now we were so blessed to have this facility, and in our church we have. Before we had more Japanese. It's starting to be even, so we have a good even amount of Japanese and foreigners.
Okay.
So I believe there's still a little more Japanese than foreigners, but it's kind of even out.
Okay.
Yeah, and so how we got into this building, you know, it's a big story. It's a big story because we started from our living room, and you know, me always wanting to help people. You know, I have this passion to help, and particularly homeless people in Japan. And so, you know, we started a homeless rehabilitation program where we go out into the woods and we meet the homeless, we help them, and, you know, we want to rehabilitate them, take them back into society again. So I knew that whatever building I got, I wanted it to have a shower room in there.
Okay.
Because I wanted to cater to the homeless, because I know there's no way for them to take showers out there. So long story short, you know, I looked for so many buildings, you know, that we could do music and have a shower room. And that's like really rare.
Okay.
You know, so we went to so many buildings. They said no. This person said no. This person said no. This person said yes, but no shower room. They said, right? And so many things, but we kept on going.
So why were they saying no initially? Was it because it's a church, or why were they saying?
Well, actually, some buildings we could not. Well, they didn't have a shower room at all.
I see.
And then one person said we could install a shower room, but we would have to.
So that's why they said no, because of the shower. Okay.
Yeah, because of the shower room. And also, one of the realtors, one of the buildings we looked at, they said no for music.
Okay.
You know, because of the neighbors and things like that.
Okay.
So there's so many, like our case was so specific. You know, we wanted a place where there was a shower room. We wanted a place where music is okay and a church is okay.
Okay.
You know, all of that in one, you know. And so we were really blessed to find this place here in Akishima. And I'm telling you, when we first got here to this building, it was dark, dirty, abandoned, but it had a shower room.
Okay.
And tons of space. And I knew, like, this is the place. This is the one.
So you made it work, right?
Made it work.
I believe you said you have dance classes and stuff like that. Tell us about what you guys have here.
Okay, yeah. So in our facility, we created a community center. Okay. So it becomes a church on Sunday, but during the week there's dance classes. We have a dance room. We lease out our main auditorium building, part of the facility for people to rent for their workshops, for their rehearsals, music rehearsals. And also in the next room right over here, we have a care center for the homeless. So every week, homeless come in, take shower, get clean clothes, food. And so we have a whole facility just trying to make a difference.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What's your ambition, you know, for maybe the next 5 years?
My ambition. Well, right now as a CEO and a pastor, my ambition is to really expand what we're currently doing, to hire, you know, I really would like to give jobs to foreigners, you know, because I know how hard it is, you know, trying to find employment, you know, working out there and the stress and all that, you know, that's really what I want to be, in a position to give jobs and also just to make a difference in Japan.
Okay.
You know, that's our motto, you know, Japan Kingdom Builders, you know, making a difference in Japan and around the world.
So that's the name of your church?
Well, Japan Kingdom Church is our.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Japan Kingdom Builders is our organization name.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
Okay. No, it's not. It's not.
It?
No, it's good. So I want to ask you. So you have the church, right? What has the impact been like, or the interaction with the Japanese laity, you know, within the church? In terms of you being a foreigner, a black man, are they like startled a bit, or they're like, oh, push their head in, like, okay, well, black pastor, what's that like? Interacting with them as a pastor in the church.
Okay, like their take on.
Yeah, the response, the reaction.
The response, okay. The reaction is positive. The reaction is pretty positive. One of the reasons is because we are a gospel music church, you know, and Japanese people love gospel music. Okay. They love gospel music, and so. You know, we're a gospel church. We're a bilingual church. So when they come in, you know, there's people here that can talk with them. And when I preach, I preach both English and Japanese. Well, I used to.
Okay.
Until we have translators. So so now we have a lot of translators here. That so really the reaction is positive, you know, and people are receptive.
Okay.
They're receptive to the message. They're receptive to the music and everything else.
Okay. So I've heard that Japan is like more of an atheistic society.
Yeah.
So what's the general reaction to a church in Japan? Like how like what's that like?
Okay. Generally speaking, Japan has this phobia of religion.
Okay.
Like anything God. You know, we've had to deal with this with quite a few people.
Okay.
The reason is because Japan has this fear, and the reason that they have this fear, I believe, is in 1995. There was this cult group that sprayed Syrian gas throughout the subway and killed dozens of people.
Wow.
And so from that time, Japan has been kind of anti-religion, anti-God, because they think it's like full of fanatics.
Okay.
So. But how we react to that is through love.
Okay.
Because the Bible says in 1 John that perfect love casts away fear. So the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. And so we fear, okay, since they're afraid and they don't want anything about God, nothing religion, no. We just come with raw love.
Okay.
Being there for them when they have issues. Praying for them, showing, not telling, but showing, and then through that, I've experienced many Japanese people coming to the knowledge of God.
Okay, so moving on from that, I've read somewhere, I think I don't know where it was, maybe in a forum or somewhere, where people were saying that they were using Japan as a model. To say that Japan is a very peaceful society, the crime rate is really low. Right. People are generally respectable or respectful. Right. And they're saying it's a atheistic society, so a lot of people attribute like just the way the society is to that aspect. Like there's no religion really. So they're like, well, people don't really need it. So what would you say to someone who's saying that Japan doesn't need religion because being the way it is, it's a society or the country is like a role model or a model for other countries. So people are like, oh, I wish this country was like Japan or this place was like Japan. What do you say to those people?
Okay. I would say being here as long as I've been, I've come to understand the Japanese people.
Okay.
So I don't see them from a kankou kyaku in Japanese, a tourist, perspective.
Okay.
But I see it from a relational perspective.
Okay.
So being here so long, I've understood that yes, Japan is great. It's safe. The people are nice. They have great customs, great service. They fold your bag at McDonald's and give it to you. Who does that? But there are serious underlying emotional and mental issues here in Japan to the extreme.
Okay.
Yes. And so to where we have dealt with so many types of people in this area. So Japan is safe, yes, but there are two faces to Japan. I think, you realize, that people are people. People need help. There's people that need help. So I will say to that person who figures, oh, Japan doesn't need religion. And I would say, yes, Japan doesn't need religion, but they need relationship with God. Okay. And that's what I teach. I tell people like, religion is something that binds you. It's you can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. But no. God didn't come. Jesus didn't come for religion. He didn't come to create a new religion. He came to introduce us to a relationship with the Father. Okay. And so that's what I teach. And like I said, I've seen many Japanese people, including my own wife, who has come to the knowledge of God, and accept Christ in their life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I remember you told me the last time we spoke about even your wife's father.
Yeah.
That you and her were going to the same church at one point, and her dad wasn't accepting of you. Right. Right. And the way that you won him over eventually was because he persisted in love. Yeah. And it was like actions over words. Yeah. And so tell us that story about the key. That was the key. Tell us that story.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So me and my wife, we went to the same church years ago, and we started liking each other and started dating. and her father was against that because I was American, and particularly I was black.
Okay.
You know, I think he had this image of me being some gangster or something, you know, trying to steal his daughter or something, you know. So I just developed a plan. I said, okay, well, I want to meet him somehow. I don't know how. I just want to meet him. You know?
He knew of you at this point?
Yeah, he knew of me.
Okay.
But we've never met at this point. So me and my wife arranged for him to drop her off at church in the morning.
Okay.
So he would drop her off, and I would be kind of hiding, you know, in the corner.
Waiting for him to show up.
Waiting for him to show up. So when he pulls up, I would come in and, you know, open the door for my wife.
Yeah.
And, you know, peek my head in and say good morning. You know, so when I would say, oh, ohayou gozaimasu, like he just like totally ignored me, like on purpose.
Wow.
Like he heard me. I'm like this close.
Yeah.
Heard me, saw me, and just.
And you spoke Japanese, so he understood.
He understood and just ignored me.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, wow. So this continued. So he would drop her off. I would do the same thing. Ohayou gozaimasu, nothing. He just continued until one day, he slightly looked. like ohayou gozaimasu, he was like you couldn't even see that. You couldn't even see that.
like an inch.
It was like an inch of a nod, you know, a bow, just a little bit, you know, but I just was, you know, really convinced that love could destroy this prejudice, you know.
Take the wall down, eh?
Yeah, just take the wall totally down. So I believe it was that same year, actually going into the next year, you know, in Japan, during New Year's, it's called a shogatsu. And that's when, you know, everyone goes to their hometown or goes back home and they spend time with the family for New Year's. So my wife, you know, she was going to do that. She asked me, did I want to come to her house to meet her father and be with the family.
Officially.
So I was like, oh, I don't know. How could we do this? You know? And so, and actually, this is after we were married, actually.
Okay. Oh, and did he come to the wedding?
He didn't come to the wedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't come to the wedding. That was a little bitter, but we were still persistent. You know, okay, love could do this. So New Year's, I went to the house. You know, we rode our bikes there, and you know, in Japan, the bikes have keys. You know, that you put you lock the bike up. So we arrived at her house.
Same bike or it's two separate bikes?
Two separate bikes.
Okay.
Yeah, she has her bike, I have my bike. So we rode our bikes to her dad's house and we parked the bike. I remember taking the key out the bike. You know, I locked it, took the key out, and mistakenly I dropped it.
Okay.
And when I dropped it, it fell into the gutter in the street.
Okay.
So, you know, you can't get it. So I'm like, oh man, what do I do? I just dropped my keys. Like, So then my wife went to the house, bing bong. Dad opened the door.
Was it the one with the vents? The little grooves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right in the side of the road.
Okay. So it wasn't covered. It wasn't covered.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Or like the water was dirty though, and it was.
Yeah, it was dirty and it was way down there.
Okay.
Right. So I couldn't get it.
Okay.
You know, I couldn't even lift it up.
I see.
To open it. So my wife went to her house, rang the doorbell. Dad opened the door. She said, "Oh, Marcel's here, by the way, right?"
Yeah.
Said, but he dropped his key inside of the gutter. Could you help? You know, can we get it? So I remember him going, and make some sound, and he gets so he comes out to help me. And that's one thing about Japan is they're really helpful people.
Okay.
And so all he needed was an opportunity to meet me, to talk to me, to know me. As a person. Yeah. So he came out and was finagling that thing. He had the hanger. He was trying to, you know, get my key, and he helped me get my key.
Yeah.
And it was from that moment, from that key that dropped, that our relationship was good.
Wow.
Was
so I guess you guys were there and you struck up a conversation.
Yes.
All that
so we
bonding
both
happened.
Yeah, you know, two men out there, you know, trying to get a key out, you know, working together and talking while we're doing it.
Yeah.
And it was through that. And now we eat Kentucky Fried Chicken together.
Is it on Christmas? Like
randomly.
Wow.
Yeah, so now we're good friends.
So from not even saying hi to having like KFC together, right? So now you guys are good friends.
Good friends.
Wow, because of the key.
The key.
That was the key.
It was the key.
Right?
The key was the key.
Oh, wow. Okay, so your wife and you have been married for how long?
Right now, 5 years. It'll be
Okay,
5
nice.
years this year.
Same like me and my wife, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 5 years this year as well.
October.
February.
February? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
It's so cold, I remember. February in Canada is like frigid.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
extremely
my
cold.
goodness.
Yeah. But we got married actually in the States though.
Okay.
But it was still cold because it literally snowed the day we got married.
Really?
Yeah. So we came out of the church.
Interesting.
And it was like snowing outside. We're like, oh, it wasn't snowing when we came, but now it's snowing. Oh,
See, for
beautiful.
us, like it was raining.
Yeah.
The day after. No. Yeah, the day after was like pouring down rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right,
so you had the snow.
Yeah, you had the rain. All right, so now we're going to go to your Black experience a bit, right?
Okay, sure.
And there's a little book behind you somewhere over there. The
yes.
title says, well, let me see it if I can read it. Is it legible? Let's see. The Reason Why I Am Black. So this is the book that he wrote. And I want you to tell us the inspiration. Is it in Japanese?
Yeah, this is in Japanese. Yeah, we have English version as well.
So the title of the book is The Reason Why I Am Black. And of course, you're going to tell us the story behind it.
Sure.
You told me earlier, but I
Yeah.
wanted to tell them like why you wrote this book.
Okay. So this book was inspired by a little girl, a little 6-year-old girl. I used to be a preschool teacher at an international school. So while I was teaching then, this is before 7-Eleven.
Okay.
So while I was teaching there, this girl came up to me, little girl. She said, Mr. MJ, that was my teacher name. Mr. MJ, why are you black?
Yeah. Wow.
She asked me that. I'm like, no one ever asked me that before. So I had to think about it. Like, why am I black? Like, no one ever asked me why I'm black. So then, but I remember drawing her attention to flowers because we were outside of the park. So I said, you see those flowers over there? She's like, yes. I said, you see they're all different colors? She was like, yes. I said, imagine if all the flowers in the world was the same color. Flowers would be boring, right? She was like, yes. I said, God made all the flowers different for a reason. It's beautiful, So, and then I began to get this like revelation, this like epiphany, this thought, this idea that we are different because it's our challenge to love.
Oh, wow.
Because if everybody on the earth was just like me, they liked exactly what I liked, they did exactly what I did, they're exactly like a copy of me, I wouldn't need to love them.
It's easy to love,
It's
like
easy,
that's
it's just-
what's the same or familiar, right?
Yeah, it's easy just to love what's familiar, But real love is revealed in differences.
So that's profound. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, okay.
So it's like, because you're different than me, that's my challenge to love you, which means love means accept, to accept you how you are. So like you said, if you're the same, okay, you're black, I'm black, okay, love, all right, man, that, good, But it's a challenge for us to love people who are different than us.
Okay.
To accept them that are different than us. So I say love, is a choice, is action, is relationship, and it's expensive. So if you look at those letters I just said, it's CARE. So love is care, it's a choice. And that's why I highlight in this book is action, it's relationship, and expensive. And I break them all down in here. I talk about forgiveness. I talk about, how to forgive, how to move past hurts and how to really love yourself and love people.
And where can people get this book?
Yes, on Amazon. So you can get this book on Amazon. You can type in The Reason Why I'm Black, Marcel Jonte, and you got your copy. And
we'll also have a link in the description down below as well. So if you guys want to like cop the book, you can do so. And you said like loving someone that's different is usually the challenge is that, right?
Yes.
And I believe that we as black people are usually on the other side of that, being the other. Yeah. Right, or the different one.
Yeah.
Right, and being in a society like in Japan, for instance, it's a homogenous society, and we are sort of the other, right? Because we're the minority.
True.
And so it's like we're in a position now where, like people got to like figure out how to deal with us, kind of, and then we got to do the same as well. And love is expensive.
It costs you.
It'll cost you. I can imagine that's a sacrifice because we had a conversation even earlier about certain things that black people go through, even back in the States, and I'm like, what's the response? Right? It seems like it's something that you're just like, can you love these people?
Yeah.
Right? The people who are meeting out injustice for no reason whatsoever. You're like, how can I love?
Right.
And I remember even the Bible said something that is very, very challenging, which is to love, I believe is what, love your enemy or love your neighbor?
Yeah, love your enemy. Yeah, both.
Right? So love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
And love your enemy as well. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, how?
Right.
Right? Because you're thinking about someone that is out to get you. You're like, how can I? But you know what? The thing about it is that I believe it disarms them. Because if someone is doing something wrong to you, they expect a certain response.
Right.
So if someone is, they're bullying you or they're stealing your stuff or they're doing whatever it is, but you respond in love, I think that baffles them.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, what?
Yeah.
So I think it can be weaponized.
Yes, yes.
It's like you weaponize love, right?
Yes.
But it's hard.
Sure.
It's still hard, right? Even though
It
if
is.
you love your enemy, it's to them they can't understand it. And I think even with your wife's dad, you
Yeah.
persisted in love, right?
sure.
Because the initial thing was he wasn't for you. He wasn't about that. But you were persistent, right? So love drove you on both sides, the love for your wife and the love for him as well as her father.
Sure.
And you kept going. But it's definitely expensive. Right?
It's
I haven't read the
expensive.
book yet, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it to read it.
Okay.
But it's something that's expensive, and I think as Black people, it's challenging
It is.
because we feel like we're always on that side. I've heard this many times, like we have to be the bigger person, right? Someone is doing something to you that you know is wrong, and if it was done to them, they would have a problem with it.
Right.
But we have to be the ones to be like, okay, you know what? It's because they're ignorant, or it's because their parents did this, and we try to find some reason to justify the injustice.
Yeah.
But hopefully, but love is expensive, and
Yes. And it's something that everybody has to get, for those on the other side, for those that are, perpetrating, for both sides have to understand love. You know what I mean? I think I think what's going on in our society is we have a wrong image of love.
okay,
And I talk about this in the book, think of every song, it's about love. Mostly all music is talking about somebody, my boo, my baby, hey
Yeah.
baby, this. It's all about love, right? And this is something that everybody wants, But the type of love, I think people don't understand really how expensive love is. How can you love somebody? How can you love your enemy? Here's the thing is you can't, you cannot. See, if you look at the first letter in love, the first letter is an L.
yeah,
How do you draw an L? From the top. Let me see if is this right if I do it like this?
yeah.
Right.
I think
From here to here to here, right? So you draw it from top to middle to the right. Is that right?
Yeah, to the right.
To the
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Top to the middle to the right. So love doesn't start from the middle to the right.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I think I watched the
You
movie.
get what I'm trying to say?
I know where you're going with it. It's like vertical
It's
and then
vertical.
horizontal, right?
Yes, you
So
have to
like the
receive
cross, kinda.
love. You have to receive from God first for yourself. How He loves you, how He forgives you, and that's a whole other thing about forgiveness. But from here to here, and then that love I got, that's how I can give it to you. So it creates the L shape.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So people are trying to do it this way in their own strength, in their own, mind, and they find themselves frustrated, annoyed, and depressed.
Oh, wow. You're serious, man. I know this is
It's
gonna
deep.
be. I know it's gonna be challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even myself thinking about injustice because I
Right.
don't like injustice.
Yeah, it's
And
terrible.
I'm like, how do you handle, people who beat up on you all the time? Or
Yeah.
the bullies. I'm like, how do you handle the bullies? Because in my mind, I feel like bullies respond to a certain language. But if I should wrap my mind around, loving your enemies, I could see how it could disarm people. It's very possible, as I said, it confounds people.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for people to reach that place where you can love someone out of their hatred. It's like, but we'll see. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, that is a deep.
It's like
Subject.
It is.
It is very much. So, 'cause
I'm
there's
pretty
so much
sure.
pain that comes with it.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure people that are watching right now are going to be like, man, I can't love these people, or that people, or that person, or
Right.
whatever. But you know what? Get the book. I think you guys should get the
the
book.
book.
I'm going to get it myself to really see. Maybe there's some insights that we can get
Yeah.
to figure out how to deal with some of the things that we go through as Black people. All right? But tell me your overall Black experience in Japan.
Okay.
You've been here for over 2 decades. Well, 2 decades, right?
Yes.
and you speak the language fluently. What has that been like? Because I believe you have some insight, especially being a pastor. I think you're privy to certain things that we aren't, because counselors, pastors, people like that, you have a insider's view into the lives of the Japanese people. So tell me about that. Well, you know what? I just gave like 2 different questions, but tell me about that side of the Japanese people that we might not be privy to, and then we'll move on to your Black experience dealing with Black people, Japanese people as well.
Okay. So one of the areas, that I've discovered about Japanese people is, I mentioned earlier how Japanese people are not as expressive. They don't express their feelings a lot.
Okay.
Little to at all. Because in Japan, there's a popular saying that the nail that sticks out gets hammered.
Okay.
And so they're taught to conform with each other, even from school age. Everybody wears the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. Everybody looks the same way, has a haircut the same way. Everybody is the same. So the moment you try to express yourself or be different, you're hammered down. Okay. You're ostracized. You're cast out. So a lot of Japanese people deal with suppression.
Okay.
That turns to depression. A lot of things are suppressed within themselves. They don't express their feelings, how they really feel, how they, what's really going on, behind, closed doors. What's really going on in their heart or in their mind. There's no one really to express that to. So they're only left to putting on a mask. Oh. And this mask is called tatemae in Japanese. So tatemae in Japanese, when I say these things, it's like, oh, you know the secret, you know the secret to Japan, So when I say it at church sometime, I say, I know your tatemae, when I put it out there, oh my gosh, how did you know, But so tatemae means your people face. And then there's another word that's called honne. So your honne means your true feeling.
Okay.
Right? So most Japanese people do not express their honne, their true feeling. So therefore, when you're suppressed, you are entertaining a lot of negative thoughts. Okay. And that affects your mental state. So what I deal with a lot with, counseling, a lot of Japanese people is mostly with dealing with mental and emotional and relational within, family and relational issues with bullying and, just all kinds of things. And bullying does not end at the school. It continues at the job as well. Okay. Yeah, wow. So it's a big thing here in Japan. Yeah.
So I understand that Christianity is not a major religion in Japan, or there aren't a lot of churches here. I'm just assuming. Is that the case?
Well, the churches it's growing. It's really growing. Since I've been here, there's been a tremendous amount of growth in that area, like churches and pastors and also missionaries coming into Japan. Okay. Yes.
So are there a lot of foreign pastors in Japan?
Yes.
And other Black pastors as well? What about the numbers?
Not so many Blacks pastors, but I can name maybe a few off of my hand. Okay.
So tell me, so the question that I'm getting at is, so in Japan, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, right? Right. So there's not a lot of churches, and I'm assuming not a lot of Christians. So if a Japanese person is a Christian, do they get ostracized for that? Is that a thing that happens?
Yes. That is one thing that's, common. Okay. Is, when you become a Christian, your family I've heard people whose family, they cut them off. Oh, wow. And they say, okay, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Or they don't, spouses who become Christians, their husband or wife doesn't allow them to go to church. Oh, wow. So those are real stories, and they're happening today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I've seen that, for example, let's say someone that is a Christian and their family is opposed to them, through that same principle of love, through that same principle of love, we've seen families accept their Christianity and also become Christians themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Love is unstoppable. When you understand it, when you understand it. Like, don't you listening to me now, you're thinking, oh, okay, just love everybody. No, it's deeper than that.
Do you wanna briefly explain love? Because you said there's I guess the romantic side of love, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the love that you have towards your family. And then,
You're in the book. You're in the book.
I did it actually.
You're in the book.
But what type of love are you describing?
Okay. The love I'm describing is called agape love. So we already know about eros, eros love. These
Like
are all Greek
erotic,
words.
kinda, yeah.
Erotic, and there's philios love. You know, that's like, you know, family, friend.
Brotherly love.
Brotherly love. You know, that's where we get the word Philadelphia from. You know, the city of brotherly love. I think they call it, right? Is that right?
I'm not sure.
Philly
Maybe.
or something like that.
Maybe.
All right. But yeah. So and then there's one that's called agape.
Oh.
That is the God kind of love. And agape love means unconditional. So mujoken no ai in Japanese. So it's unconditional. No matter what you do, no matter how you treat me, it's a deep love.
No,
It's a harder love.
no, I understand it. From you use the word unconditional.
Unconditional.
It's like no matter what.
No matter what. And that love, that's how God loves us. No matter if we don't believe in him, no matter if we curse him, no matter if we, whatever, we are his creation. And with that love, if I as a Christian, as a man, can understand that love of God, that how much he loves me, how much he loves Marcel, I can forgive anyone.
Oh, wow. Well, that type of love, like serious
Unconditional.
type of love, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, love, that type of love, if that persists,
Yes.
I believe that can bring down any wall.
Oh,
actually.
yes, sir.
Like, but it's
Yeah.
for a person to reach a place where you can love unconditionally. So the journey to that place, that's the challenge, right?
Yeah, it's a journey to that place because we've been hurt, you know, as a people.
Especially as a race.
Yeah,
black
as a
people.
race, yes, we've been hurt. We've gone through a lot of pain. I've gone through a lot of things here in Japan. You know, I've suffered racism. I've suffered being pushed. I've suffered being racially, what do they call it, slurred or something they call it. You know, racially.
They use racial
They
slurs.
use racial
against you?
slurs. I've been through it. You know, here in Japan, on the train, at the train station, on the job. You know.
You wanna maybe just a little bit briefly share one of those experiences with us?
Okay. There's one. And I don't want to be negative, but this is just what happened. You know, this is when I first got to Japan, not too long. You know, maybe like a year after I first arrived.
So we're a teenager still.
Still a teenager. And so I was getting on the train, and I didn't know the system, the way they do their thing when you get on the train. I was waiting in the middle. Normally you have to wait on the side, and everybody else comes out from the middle.
I see.
So I was just coming in from the middle. So I just remember this older man literally grabbing me, like grabbed
From behind?
Yeah, from behind. He grabbed me and pushed me, you know. And that was kind of traumatic for me, you know. And that was one experience. Then I remember being on the train, and just randomly this older gentleman, he said, "Go back to America. You know, get out of here. Get out of this country." You know,
In English?
in Japanese.
Okay. So you understood
I
Japanese
understood
at that
what he
point?
said. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you know, of course, since you understand, you're tempted to kind of want to kind of retaliate and say, "Who do you think you're talking to?" I know what you just said. You know what I mean? Yeah, those are some of the situations, and I had.
You never said anything?
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Wow.
No, not that I remember. No, because I think at that time I didn't speak that much Japanese, but I understood what he said. I don't want to be a downer on this interview, you know. But these are just real stories. You know, these are things that happen.
Yeah, it's like you got the good, the bad, and the ugly's life.
Yeah,
It's a
it's life,
fact, right?
Yes. And so the the longer you're in the country, you begin to understand about that country, you know, and that they're just people like everybody else, you know, and that there's room for differences to be made.
So tell me, in your mind, and based on your experience, what do you think is the general attitude? What do you think is the general attitude towards black people here?
Okay, general attitude, believe it or not, it's positive.
Okay.
It's positive. Japanese people typically like black people.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Yes, the reason is because, you know, they love our music, they love our dance, they love our, you know, our hair, you know, and you know, my wife is Japanese, so I hear this a lot.
Okay.
You know, and I talk with a lot of Japanese as well, and I experience a lot with Japanese people, and so the majority love black people.
Okay.
The only areas where you get the the negativity and the racial issues is from the older generation mostly.
I see.
You know, because if you listen to my stories, it was normally the older people that were doing this.
Okay.
That were pushing and that were being rude and, you know, and saying these things, you know, from older people. And so, but for the majority, you know, there's a high level of respect for Black people here in Japan.
Oh, respect.
Yes.
That's a strong word.
For sure.
All right.
It's true.
So what do you like the most about Japan? You've been here for a while, so
Yeah.
what do you like the most?
What I love the most, that is a good question. What I love the most about Japan is that, like I said, like there is room for growth.
Okay.
You know, it's a strong country, you know, technology-wise, economic and things like that, but there's always room for improvement. There's room for growth. There's so much potential in these people.
Okay.
You know, and so I feel like my destiny is to make a difference, you know, in to help make a difference in whatever I can do. You know, whether it's through music, whether it's through plays, writing books or whatever, preaching, you know. I just feel like what I love the most about Japan, I don't know, it's a crazy answer, but that there's room for growth.
Okay. What about the least?
The least things I
Yeah,
like
what
about
do you,
Japan?
what do you like the least?
Natto. I do not like natto.
Natto.
I don't like natto. And everything else I love.
What's
Everything else I love.
So this is a food, right?
Right, okay.
What's your favorite food here in Japan then?
My favorite food would be like tonkatsu, katsudon.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. And curry, of course, you know. Kokoichi, I love kokoichi curry. I love Japanese curry. Yeah.
I want you to tell me what drives you, right? So maybe it's you have a philosophy, or like what's the best life advice you've received? Something along those lines.
Okay. What drives me is like my passion. I was just saying my passion. My passion is to help a fellow man, you know, to help somebody else, you know. I put this in my new book, actually. I'm writing a new book. It should be ready next year.
Oh, nice.
But it's geared towards your purpose. And so I always had this passion in me just to help other people. And so this started when I was young. You know, I remember my friend in elementary school, he was handicapped. You know, he couldn't walk. You know, he had crutches and he would cry sometime because he couldn't walk like the other kids. So I remember me setting this goal with him, saying, okay, every day we're gonna try to walk, okay? So we would go in the bathroom, I would remove his crutches and he would try to walk, you know, and just from that moment, you know, from that time, I just knew that I would spend the rest of my life helping others.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what drives me. So, you know, in other words, you know, I love problems. You know, like people that want to help people, they love problems, right? Because without problems, we can't help them, right? So, you know, so there's a problem. Okay, now I'm thinking about solutions. You know, okay, what program do we need to fix this? You know, what team do we need to create to fix this?
Yeah.
You know, what's the next step? You know what I mean? And so that's what I spend my days doing.
Okay. You don't really like problems.
I don't
but
love problems.
You like solving them.
I love solving them.
Right? So when you see them, you get excited because you're like, yes, I can find a solution now.
Yes, yeah,
right?
let me clear that up. Problems don't come to me.
Right?
But hey, you know what I mean? We want to solve them.
Right? Any advice for Black people looking to come to Japan? Right? Whether it's
Okay.
to work or to study, or to visit. Any advice for them?
Okay. Advice would be learn a little Japanese before you get here. Learn about the culture a little bit. Those are the things I would say that could help you. You know, learn, explore, you know, and also have a connection with somebody, have with some positive group of people here in Japan that can show you around, that can help you. You know, connect with the church, you know, if you're in that, you know. It's very important because that will be your guide, because it's easy to just come here and then, you know, not know anything.
Yeah.
And not know your way around, not understand what's going on, and you could make some cultural mistakes, you know, if you don't know the cultural rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So tell me about the language really briefly. How did you learn it, and what advice can you give someone who's trying to learn the language, Japanese?
I often tell people, learn Japanese based on your interests.
Okay.
You know, for me, I'm not a book type learner. You know, it sounds kind of crazy coming from a pastor, you know, because I read the Bible. But
And you wrote a book.
I
And
wrote a book and I'm writing books. But for me, like to actually, open it and just kind of study that and all, it really doesn't really kind of stick.
Okay.
So for me, it sticks more like, with immersion. You know, when I'm actually communicating with people,
Okay.
when I'm interacting, that's when I learn the most. And so I encourage people, if you want to learn Japanese, learn it based on your interests. Learn it based on something to where you won't get bored. You know, so for me, it was the Bible.
Okay.
So that was my motivation. So I started learning Japanese scriptures. So if your thing is anime, learn everything about anime. If your thing is art, learn everything about art. If it's music, everything about music in Japanese.
Okay.
And then be able to surround yourself with people in that circle. So you can begin to communicate those words that you know within that world.
Okay.
And that will speed up your Japanese process.
Oh, wow. So where can people find you online?
Okay, yes. They can find me on Facebook, you know, Marcel Jonte Gadsden or Marcel Jonte. I have two. You can find me, our church. You can find our church at facebook.com/Japan Kingdom Church.
Okay.
And if you can also find our organization, which includes our homeless program, our church, our kids program, the whole everything we do at www.jpkb.org.
Okay. Guys, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. This was Pastor Marcel Jonte. Some of you guys were asking me about black pastors in Japan. You were asking me about churches in Japan. So this is a church, right? So the links will be in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. Until next time, bye for now.
Okay, here we are at Japan Kingdom Church, also Kingdom Garden Community Center. So we are located outside of the Haijima station, a 7-minute walk from the Haijima station. So we're really close. And here we are. So this is our lobby area. So as you can see, Kingdom Garden Community Center is right up there. And on Sunday mornings before service, people are hanging out here. We have coffee, the whole, cafe space right here. Normally we have they call it master in Japanese, a master. He's there making coffee for everybody and everyone's just enjoying. There's a little screen there for TV. We have some, TV playing right there and just a really cool spot to kind of hang out before service. To the main hall here we are. Right here, this is the main hall area. So we have church here every Sunday at 10:30. And really high-packed praise, high-packed, music, really good team, band of musicians and singers. I play keyboard and organ occasionally. Well, normally I do. We have another keyboardist, drummers over there, and our singers line up here and sing. And pretty awesome time every Sunday. And this is our sound area. As you can see, this is where the bar. This is the half of the bar counter. It used to stretch out all the way to here. It used to be all the way here. And then we had to, destroy it so we could make a sound booth. So that's sound booth. And then this is our multi-purpose room, also dance room. So we have various workshops that in companies that lease this space during the week. There's a kids robot class where they build robots out of Legos. There's a dance class or aerobics class. So I want to show you our care center for the homeless. So when we got this building, it had to have a shower room because we deal a lot with the homeless and we wanted to be a church where we could cater to them. So excuse the mess because we just got these donations. These are pillows and blankets for the winter for the homeless. So the homeless, they come in here once a week to take a shower, to get clean clothes. So, and some of them come to church on Sunday as well. And so as you can see here, this is a picture of me with homeless people, with two homeless gentlemen in Shinjuku Park. This was like 9 years ago. And also this is our wall of thanks. So we was featured actually on Japanese television. So they went with us down to the homeless, and these are some volunteers that have been such a blessing in donating to this cause. And so Yep, and they get clean clothes here, everything that's donated from Dakota Base and from friends and family. And this is our rack that has a lot of donated items, canned goods. So this is for intake. When they come in to take a shower, we make sure they go home with something in their hand. And this is for outreach. We take those out because we outreach the homeless every month, every third Saturday. So we all go out to meet them at the river, give them care packages, and tell them about our program. And here is the shower room. Yep. So they come and take a shower. Right here, they close this curtain here and they get dressed and take a shower, put clean clothes on, and they're transformed. So this is all in our efforts to make a difference in Japan. That's all we're trying to do, is make a difference one person at a time.
Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to share your story or have us visit your region, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or via our website.
That's good.